Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and I'm back for 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, Season 9, Episode 11, Nobody Puts a Baby in the Corner. Now, I was like, what kind of name is that for a title? But hey, that's what they chose to use for a headline. Whatever it is, that's just what it is. All right, so if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you aren't new, thank you for being a subscriber and welcome back. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and leave me your comments so I know what you thought about this episode, even if it was boring. And like the rest of us, as we've mentioned time and time again, I'm ready for the finale for this season, okay? Because we have new fish to fry with the newest 90 Day the other way that comes out on Mondays and streams on your whatever you stream the 90 Day franchise on. And you know what? For this live recap review, I'm not going to be here for a long time because honestly, nothing happened. I mean, things happened, but I mean, we're just kind of like going back in time. And I will say that I have just like a little bit of beef for the Julia and the Brandon conversation that we'll get to towards the end. And maybe something else with Loren and Elizabeth. But other than that, to me, it's business as usual, going back in time. And to be honest, a lot of this seems like it's staged, but that's just me. I could be wrong. All right. So on the episode was Kara and Guillermo, Jasmine and Gino, Julia and Brenda, Yara, Jovi, and Jovi's mom, Gwen, and Loren and Elizabeth. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, to be here for a short time, not a long time, just to give the recap, and we'll go about our day. And I'll see y'all another time in another episode. Okay. So Kara and Guillermo. So last week, Guillermo treated Kara, not necessarily treated Kara, but wanted Kara to, reconnect. And, set up a nice little hideaway, nice little bed and breakfast or whatever it was. And they just couldn't get past, literally, the past. And, to me, they should have, of course, went there to talk about their issues and to see if they could build and reconnect. But it didn't happen because a lot of things came up, such as possible infidelity questions, cheating, which is same as cheating. And a lot of trust issues are centered around this couple. Now, one thing I find interesting is that in confessional with them, that Kara's telling Guillermo, together sitting in production, that, or actually it's Guillermo, she had, when they had the baby, their little boy, Nico, who's like at this time of filming was like 2.5, 3 time of this filming, that she would have postpartum depression and she would, talk with her mom friends. She didn't feel like she was being supported by Guillermo. And to make herself feel better, and just to get out the house, is to connect with other mom friends and go out one night. I think she said a week or once a month, something like that. But on a Wednesday to bachata night, and Kara sings bachata. Well, apparently at bachata night, Kara knew the DJ, who used to be a friend, right? But not only did Kara start hanging out with the DJ with her mom friends, right? But even after hours, like the after the after party, yeah, Kara would go to the DJ's house to chill, relax, whatever they did. And, Guillermo found that suspect. I find it suspect too. Okay. But Kara's like, no. He's just my friend. That's all there is my friend. But then Guillermo explains, oh, your friend, right? He may be your friend, but your friend is still trying to get back with you. He was writing notes to you before we got married, trying to, be like, are you sure? Just, trying to block. And Kara's like, it wasn't even like that. But, for me, if I was Guillermo, which I'm not, but Guillermo is suspicious about this continuing to happen because clearly Kara, even though she wants to take off in a singing career and bachata's her thing, okay, I would be suspicious too. So, needless to say, the romantic getaway, the reconnect getaway, did not last. Okay, there was tension. They couldn't get past any trust issues. She thinks he's telling her, lies and vice versa. And I'm just like, you know what? I get the one-ditch last effort to save your marriage, but you can kind of tell as far as the confessionals when they went along, not just with this episode or the one before, just in the beginning when we first saw who was going to be on the show, just the way that they're sitting like opposite of each other and the body language. Yeah, you could kind of tell that this is not something that's going to last. Now, whether they're still together or not, I don't know. If we have a tell-all, maybe we'll find out the real then, but it's giving not, but that's just me. All right, let's move to Gino and Jasmine. Okay, so Gino gets a text from Jasmine, an urgent text message that, I want to talk to you. So here goes Gino. He's on the way. He's telling confessional Cam, he's nervous. He don't know what Jasmine wants to talk about. But I think deep down that Gino feels that Jasmine wants to come back home kind of thing. I think that's what I think is going on. But another thing I found interesting was the text message from Jasmine and then the meeting spot. Why was the meeting spot at Matt's apartment? I thought that was a little disrespectful personally. And I'm sure Matt knew about it because Matt and Jasmine seem to do like a little messy stuff like that, especially Matt, since Matt and Gino like to take little shots at each other. But I'm like, you're not meeting at my house, but whatever. So Gino gets there. He sees those boxes everywhere. He's like, oh, are you moving? She's like, yeah. But then the conversation turns into Jasmine trying to be nice, right? In her own way. She's asking him, so how are you since the birthday party? Because Gino introduced a wannabe girlfriend at the time named Natalie. And when Jasmine came into the party, it was for Gino's uncle's wife. She's like, who's this whore? Who's this whore from Vegas? Who's this whore? Just being all out of line, all out of place, right? Out of order. You're out of order, right? So Gino's like, you mean Natalie? You know what? From the birthday party, she didn't want to have nothing to do with me, so we broke up. And then Jasmine's like, you shouldn't have brought her here anyways because you brought her around my family, like trying to go off, right? I'm like, how are you trying to go off, but at the same time trying to drop the bomb that you are not the father, okay? So then I guess, the light bulb goes off in Jasmine's head and she calms down. She's like, well, I want to tell you, Gino, I didn't mean to hurt you or anything like that. This wasn't planned. But I'm pregnant. And Gino's in there like, I'm not surprised. Gino, you're surprised. Okay, you're surprised. And then he's like, I wouldn't expect less of you, right? So Gino's kind of like trying to blow it off. She's like, I didn't mean to hurt you and all this other stuff. She talked about, I'm moving to Florida with Matt, and Matt's my family now. Now, you just, not even 2 minutes ago, talked about you brought Natalie, that whore, around my family because your family's my family too. So now that you're pregnant with my baby, and I just don't know, I just don't know, and I'm trying to hurt you. Now it's Matt's family's your family. Okay. Which one's your family, Jasmine? So you're just going to hop off? Never mind. Okay. So now Gino's like, you know what? There's nothing else left to say. He gets up, he leaves. And on the way home, it's like three little pigs and wee. All the way home, Gino is crying. He is upset. And Jasmine look out the window like, oh, I know he's upset because I know he just didn't want to break down in front of me. I just feel so bad for him because I still, he may not believe it. I still love him. Girl, please. You got what you wanted. You came over to the States. You got exactly what you wanted. You played Gino. Gino, you can't tell me you didn't know you was being played because y'all broke up way too many times. Okay. But hey, the other shoe was dropped. And Let me read the results. In the case of Jasmine and Gino, you are not the father. I know I hurt you, Gino. Miss me with all that. Gino and Jasmine. All right, let's move on to Julia and Brandon. This couple's a mess. And, we're watching the fertility issues come up with this couple, but yet 2 weeks or so ago, they dropped the news on Instagram, and I do believe they're like People magazine, different articles that Julia is like pregnant. She looked like in those pictures, she's in her third trimester. She's at least 6 to 9 months now in those photo pictures. She's close to being due, right? But we're watching their fertility issues play out. So Julia and Brandon are renewing their wedding vows. And you remember a week or two ago when Julia's family came over and Brandon's mom and dad like burst in, was like, surprise. Okay, who wanted to see you like at midnight? Okay, you can came over the next day, but that's the overstepping that Brandon's parents do. So, like I said, they're renewing their vows. They're in Miami to have a American wedding, because when they got married the first time, they got married and had a little ceremony in Russia. And it was a Russian wedding that her parents got to see. Hold on, excuse me. Let me take me a little drink. It's water, y'all. So Brandon, his dad, Ron, and Julia's dad, Igor, are out on the beach trying to put a little train down for Julia to walk on because they're getting married on the beach. Some little flowers and stuff. And they're having a hard time because it's windy, right? At least it didn't rain during the day, but it's windy. And, they're doing their best. They finally get it down and everything like that. But let me say this, though. Brandon couldn't find something else to wear shirt-wise to his own renewal ceremony. Did y'all see his shirt? First of all, he's getting a little belly, and I'm not fat shaming because, listen, I got some weight on me too, but you can't tell me nothing. My clothes are appropriate. But Brandon, I'm going to need you to shop in the men's section next time, not the young men's section, like when you was in high school or something, because those fitted shirts and stuff that you be trying to wear with the buttons that don't really button because you got a little beer belly going on, and it's not really your size. Okay, I need you to get something else more appropriate. I know you're still young, so the men's section has another section too that, when you graduate up to like grown man, but you need to get out the teen section, okay? But then we see Julia, she's getting getting ready in the hotel room, getting her makeup done professionally, which was nice, right? And so I think Julia's mom is in the next hotel room getting dressed. But here comes Betty knocking on the door. She has mimosas. She's like, oh, you look so beautiful. Leave it to Betty. Okay, and let me side note this. If I can be a fly on the wall for the baby shower, because Betty's going to plan it all, be all, end all, babysitter, caretaker, nanny, okay. Y'all know the movie, single, boop, female. It's giving Betty. She's like, I just gave you, I want to bring you something to calm you down. So she handed Julia her mimosa. She takes a drink. She's like, oh, I could use something right now, some bubbly or whatever. So Julia drinks. She's like, oh my God, did you even put any orange juice in this? But if y'all notice, Betty has some type of beverage in every scene. Not one scene goes without a beverage in Betty's hand of alcohol proportions. Okay, I haven't seen Betty drink a water yet. But anyways, Julia puts it down and, Betty's like trying to be nice to her the best way she can because it's really hard for Betty to do that, right? So they have small talk. Julia gets dressed. She gets dressed by herself. She don't even ask Betty for assistance, which I don't blame her, okay? Because even I had enough of Betty, and Betty is not my mother-in-law. So Julia comes out. Her dress is nice for her. It's nice and fitted. It's her style. Then her mom comes in. And one thing I didn't notice till later is that Betty and her husband Ron were matching, with purple flowers and that look, because Brandon's dad had on a purplish. It matched. They both matched, right? The mom and Brandon's parents match. So anyway, so now it's time for Julia to get down to the beach and everything like that, and she makes it there. And I was waiting for like a traditional renewal of the vows, but I guess just something that they put together themselves, right? And Julia, I mean, whatever, they got it done, right? And it was their ceremony. Everybody does things different. Okay. Well, anyways, after that, because it was just like, I'm like, what's really going on here? So after that, we see the reception, and it's, they all go out to a restaurant, and there's always some tension with Julia and Brandon, and then Julia with Brandon's parents, right? And I do think that Betty tends to like push her ideas or ideology on Julia, and Julia, strong-minded. She's like, no, you need to, I have boundaries, and Brandon, you need to set boundaries too, right? So at dinner, the fertility issue comes up, and Brandon brings it up. I'm like, this is not the time to bring it up. Julia agrees, and even Brandon's dad agrees, like, this is not the time or place, but Brandon's like, well, I want kids. Okay. And then Julia then has to explain in English, well, not English, in Russian for her parents, and then to Ron and Betty about seeing the fertility doctor and having to go under anesthesia to clean out whatever polyps, fibroids, or whatever she has in there for a chance to get pregnant. And Julia's like, I've never been under anesthesia. I'm scared. I don't want to. And so now Betty's like, what? What do you mean? Now she's like not literally across the table, but her body language is like leaning across the table. Like, what are you talking about? Like Betty always is, right? In her face, loud, abrasive, all like that. And it's just like, why are y'all, in my opinion, I'm like, why are y'all so intent of getting your point across? And I have my parents who here from our country. They're only here for a little bit, couple days, a week or two to be with us and be with me. They haven't seen me in a few years. And this is what happens every time. There was, they stormed out the first day the parents got there, and just all kind of stuff. Like her parents, Julia's parents haven't seen her happy one time, at least not while filming, because I know I haven't. And I'm like, I'm not going to keep being embarrassed like this, right? So then, Ron, Brandon's dad and Betty's husband, was like, Betty, shut up. It's her body. It's her choice. And I agree. Now, so she's like, I'm going to hold my tongue. I'm holding my tongue. Now, some people, you're either pro-choice or you're pro-life. So whatever you are is what you are. But you can't make someone have a surgery or maybe potentially have children because you want grandchildren, right? Then Brandon gets up from the table. He's pouting. And she's like, can we talk about this? Can you come back and sit down? We can talk about this later. I didn't want to talk about this here. It's not the right place. She goes, you ruin a romantic evening. I'm like, exactly. We just did our renewal vows and you bringing this up. Like, kind of like, I don't know. Was it Brandon's intentions to like make her talk because she doesn't want to talk with him about it right now? I think that's kind of what it is. I'm not saying shaming because we already have the shaming coming up in a minute, but just to make her talk. And he knew that his mom, well, he felt like his parents would be on his side because normally are, but they were split this time. I'm just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, gosh, if I was Julia's mom, I would really be concerned for my daughter. Like, in the last couple days, at least for filming purposes, because no telling what's seen in between, like, this is all we see. So this is what you deal with, like, on a regular basis? Not cool. All right. Let's move to Yara, Jovi, and his mom, Gwen. So it's the next day after the launch of Yara's pet products, whatever she's trying to sell, luxury pet products. And so they're at brunch, Yara, Jovi, his mom, Gwen, and their daughter, Mila, who's like 3 or 4. She's probably about 4. Why is Mila drinking out the water bottle that the waiters or waitresses pour into your glass for fresh water? They're like, Don't do that. You're so silly. Okay, listen. When Mila asked to go to the bathroom, that's when she would have got snatched. Okay, absolutely not. Where are her table manners? Does the girl not go out to eat? Y'all don't teach. That's not what you do. Like, okay. I'm not the type of person who think that's cute. I wouldn't have thought that was cute for my kids, but hey, they're not me, right? Anyways, the conversation came up about the party from Gwen. She's like, what kind of friends do you have that's yelling and carry on? She goes, why would you want to be friends with people like that? And why would you want to bring them around your daughter? And Yara's like, well, she wasn't there, Miss Gwen, but Yara knows what the point is, right? Why would you want to bring this drama and chaos around you guys and then involve your daughter? Like, you guys don't have no support here. Like, Jovi's from Louisiana, Yara's from Ukraine. They have no support system. They have friends there. She said, Loren and Alex and Andrei and Elizabeth, but they all live, they live in Florida, but they live in different parts of Florida. So if something happens, someone needs to pick up a little girl from like preschool or something like that, or just need to help out if someone gets sick or, something, like, they don't have no support. And turns out that Jovi had asked his mom on the low to look for some houses back home in Louisiana, because in certain places of the United States, you get a little bit more bang for your buck, right? Versus, like California, New York, San Francisco, other places, East Coast, whatever, have like a higher value of houses for more money. And like, for example, houses are like 500,000-600,000 up to $1 million for like small acreages, versus other places in the Midwest and the South, you could get like that same 500,000 and up home for like 200,000-300,000 and have lots of acreage. Like I said, it just depends on where you live and how prices are and things like that. And Yara's like, no, I don't want to do that. I already lived there. I was miserable. And Jovi's like, well, I'm miserable here. The housing market isn't great and all that stuff. And then in the confessional, Yara was saying how, there's a lot of things from her culture from Ukraine that's in Miami. For example, there's a place like a restaurant in their building where she'd go down to get, traditional food, borscht, and something else she mentioned. I don't know how to pronounce it there. And she took Mila to a Ukrainian church for the first time. So she's into more of her own culture and more of a fast pace than maybe a more slower culture, not as fast paced as Miami that you would find in New Orleans. So I don't know. They don't seem like they're on the same page with that. Now, let's go to Loren and Elizabeth, Alex and Andrei. So there were things that came up in the lunch party that came out, and Elizabeth ended up telling Loren's husband, Alex, that, yeah, well, since y'all call my husband a D, okay, he's a horrible person. Well, Loren texts me that you fat shame her. And Loren has Tourette syndrome, so she has tics and they're uncontrollable. And clearly they come out when she's stressed, because Loren's tics was on 1,000. She couldn't control it, even in that environment at the lunch party, and even at home when Alex confronted her again about that fat shaming comment. And Loren tried to dial it back about, now, I didn't really mean about fat. I took it the wrong way, when I had all our babies, and, I was postpartum, and, we're into health and fitness. And I thought, maybe you were looking at me kind of way, but when you just really wanted me to work out. I mean, she was backpedaling hard. But if you have any kind of common sense, you be like, girl, you meant exactly what you said. And I have to believe Elizabeth on this one. I do believe the word fat shaming came up, because I get it. Because Loren has body dysmorphia. She's admitted that, and different things going on with her body. So maybe, he may have said those things along the way to be mean, because Loren is already thin. But if you have, if you see your body a certain way, then it doesn't matter if you are or not. People think just what they think about it. Anyways, Loren and Elizabeth, they meet up to talk things out, because even Elizabeth talked to her husband when they were at a bar too, talking about if she really wants to continue the friendship with Loren. And y'all know Andrei. Andrei's like, you know what? They can all kick rocks, except for he used other provocative language. Okay. And so, this was like, well, I will always protect you. I'm always down for you. Girl, we already know that. You already, listen. If Alex said to Loren fat shaming, no telling what Andrea said to you. I don't care my husband would never, my husband, girl, police. He even says stuff like that to strangers. So it's nothing to say it. And your sisters and your mother and your whole entire family. So it's nothing to say it to you. Move to the left. Okay. So anyways, Loren and Elizabeth meet up at a bar and they sit to talk about how their friendship may or may not progress. I will say this, when Loren walked in, Elizabeth was still there. It just gave me the vibe that Elizabeth was like, I can just pull your hair, Loren. She gave me she would snatch Loren. I think she would try. I think Loren would get some scratches in there, but I think Elizabeth would try to get a little dibs in or whatever. But anyways, they both came to the conclusion that, they've been friends all these years. Loren said it wasn't just her saying Andrei was a D, it was Yara too. She had to bring up Yara since Yara did mention that she said it. And Yara did say in another confessional that if you have any secrets, don't tell her any, because she's pretty much an open book. She's just going to say it regardless. I'm like, girl, so you can't keep no secrets? Is that really a friend? Anyways, they came to the conclusion that, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And, I was, supposed to be your confidant and vice versa. And although our friendship may not get back together the way it was, maybe we could be cordial. I'm like, if that's what you want it to be, you both are grown. You both will side and ride or die for your husbands. And I get it. And honestly, that's the way, it should be if you want to maintain your marriage. But at the same time, if you both are really friends, yes, people could say things in a fit of anger, a little bit of spite, but how good of a friends were they really, And another thing I want to bring up, I'm not sure if Loren said it or Elizabeth said it. It's like, we're both married to Middle Eastern European men. No. Andrei's Eastern European and Alex is Middle Eastern, right? Isn't Jerusalem where Alex from in the Middle East? And I'm just saying for geography. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But I don't know. I think the common denominator just for everything coming out the way it is Yara. But for the ladies to have such an issue to blow up the way it was, there was always something bubbling deep down. And I also think that the housewarming that Loren and Alex had on the first episode, the issues that Elizabeth and Loren had, because I don't think it's really with the husbands, was already there underneath. And to be honest, I don't think Elizabeth is, if you allowed your husband to alienate you from your two sisters who you claim you were close to and your mom and your entire family, everybody except for your dad, that's an issue. So I don't know how you can maintain true friendships if, you're already in that lane, but that's just me. Y'all let me know what you think. So that was the episode. Wasn't really a whole lot to talk about, but there were some little tidbits here and there, and I guess we'll see a little bit more next week, because I do believe Yara is trying to do a couples retreat for everybody to get back on the same page. So we'll have to see how that works out. We'll have to see next week, because Jasmine said that her family has no idea about Matt and her being pregnant. Okay, and I was like, okay, girl. And then I guess we'll see Darcey and her sister Stacy meet next week, because they're in town for their anniversary. And I think we haven't seen Tigerlilly and Adnan since they had the baby, and that's fine, because they really don't bring a whole lot to the show anyways. They had the baby, cool, done. Congratulations, right? So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share. And until next time, everyone, live simply, be grateful.